Look at this photograph. Every time I do, makes me laugh. Let me hang it up on the fridge right here. And oh my god, I'm falling in through the photograph. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, welcome to the game playlist. My name is Akshan, and I want you to look at that photograph. Next to me,
Dashan, hello. And I'm not going to say anything more than that.
I'm Anuk,
And
the flame guy.
I'm interrupting Anuk because I am Dilantha, and that is what I do.
that
Sorry,
is what he
Anuk.
does. Here at the Game Playlist podcast, we pick a game and we play it for that month. When we come back here, we talk about that game. The games are picked by all of us, and we have a ritual. We have a schedule on what
Ritual.
we'll get some input
You're a
here.
cult now.
It's
I see.
becoming a ritual. I think it's becoming a ritual at this point.
Uh,
Been doing
So
it
you're
for
saying it's a
4 or
cult?
5 months now.
Oh, okay, sure.
And
Yeah,
Cult
cult now.
Master Delanta has picked our game for today, so please, Cult Master Delanta, why don't you tell us about this satanic piece of propaganda you brought?
Not the words I'd use, Akshan, but thanks for the intro. The game that the boys have played this month is, of course, Viewfinder. Ooh.
Ooh.
So, Viewfinder is a bit of an interesting game. It came up a lot during the game showcase season last year. And it was really interesting. It's a puzzle game, a puzzle platformer, where in first person, where the idea is basically bending perception using photographs and pictures and the environment around to kind of progress through and find your way back to find your way moving forward ahead using these pictures and different images to get you through the different worlds that are on offer for you. It was a very interesting one. Like I said, big darling at the show during showcase season. It was a really interesting game within the demos that they showed, and it released I think in July last year, and it has since gone on to be very well reviewed. It has won a lot of awards. I think it came up a lot in the Game Awards, and recently at the BAFTAs or the BAFTA Game Awards, it won Best British Game, which is one of the highest BAFTA game nominations, and also won Best New IP, and is the first game from Sad Owl Studios. So, big achievement to them, and we played it, and we're going to talk about it now.
Indeed.
Yes, we are. All right. So, Viewfinder is a puzzle game. And as Delanta mentioned, its main mechanic is perception and photographs. Whatever photographs you find or you take, you place them down, and whatever was in the photograph gets placed in the real world. So let's say there's a building and you want to climb that building, but there's no stairs, there's no ladder. Turn to your right, there's some stairs there. Take a picture of those stairs, and you place the picture of the stairs onto the building, and you suddenly have stairs to go up the building. Boom. Puzzle. That's that's the base of how the game works. There are other mechanics that get introduced along the way, but we'll get into that in a bit. First off, I want to talk about just the vibe of the game, because the game's vibe is very bright, colorful, almost like a painting, and it's very orchestral. And based on the game's story, it's on purpose. Does anyone have any thoughts on the vibe of the game?
I have one
How
word.
how do we how okay, go first. Sorry.
I have one word to describe this game, and it's a movie reference.
Doesn't sound like one word, but continue.
No, it is. I think Akshan has only watched this movie. I don't know, but I know he knows of it. Midsummer.
Okay.
Sure.
There's your response.
The reaction says it all.
Do you, Akshan? You know this, right?
The color palette of Midsummer, sure, I can understand that.
What I mean by that is that it feels like it feels like it's trying to be bright and colorful, but it's probably hiding something underneath that's darker. That's like the vibe it gives. Like that's also how like the movie Midsummer was, right? It's just trying to force like a theme that isn't actually what it is.
Yeah. I can kind of get that. Uh, I'm not sure what to compare it to. This the style, the
Isn't it a
vibe of it.
mash of a lot of different things though? Like it starts off as one like pretty like regular-ish theme, but it also changes as you go deeper into the game. Wouldn't
No,
you say
no,
But the
so?
but that's the thing, right? So like it's more like you start off with this one theme, which is this
Mm-hmm.
happy, bright thing, and then the more you go into it, like you see the actual the truth basically, right? I think like the more you play the game, you
the
Right.
story,
understand the
the
Okay.
actual
story.
story.
But for
Mm-hmm.
me, like the moment I got into the game, like I knew nothing about the game. I've only seen like very little gameplay from like trailers and stuff like that. But like there was like something off to me about like the initial set of gameplay and like the notes left around and the way there are like those voice recordings, right? Like from those
Finals.
yeah, from the vinyls.
Masari.
Like the way like those also like gave off this sort of impression that something was innately wrong with this place.
Mhm. And maybe we'll reveal what went wrong, or you played it and you know exactly what's wrong. But we'll get into that in a bit. In a bit. Uh,
Transition.
one thing that we call uh, was that like I was enjoying it in the first bit of the game, and I liked the vibe of it. However, the one thing that was annoying me throughout the whole thing was what felt like the narrator in the beginning part of the story, because the voice acting, the recording, and the writing was not good. And that's my opinion of that character, especially who it's like when you like just the I don't even know how to describe it, but I was very tempted to just take a break before continuing to play it, just because I was annoyed. I actually turned off uh voice for a bit of the game because I was tired.
Wait, you can. Oh yeah.
Like,
Could you actually turn off voice? I didn't know. I just played with voice.
no, I went into the settings and I was like, I'll reduce
Oh yeah.
voice volume.
Oh okay. Okay. I mean like that. Okay. Then
Voice
you mean like.
acting volume. It's an indie game. It's an indie company. It's not like they have hi-fi writers. They're a small indie
But then
company.
the
Game
second narrator was like a lot more, I don't know, less.
was it's better voice actor, but I can't say that I like the dialogue any better
Yeah,
than
fair enough.
what was there. But we can get into more of that later. But in regards to the vibe, it interrupted it for me in the beginning. In the later on, it wasn't as bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, music was very ambient music. It didn't really, uh, nothing's really memorable. There's no melodies that I remember
Yeah,
from this.
I would say it's not a soundtrack I'm saving to my Apple Music library anytime soon.
Yes,
Mhm.
Is that a
unless I'm
plug?
sending to heaven.
Sorry.
Check out the Xenoflex Apple Music playlist down link down below.
No, because
All right.
there's a lot of as of recent there's a lot of soundtracks that I've been like listen like I finish a game and I was like, wow, I actually want to save the soundtrack. Then I go and look it up.
Viewfinder is not one of them.
Wayfinder is not one of them. Sorry.
Viewfinder doesn't have a soundtrack, or you just don't. Is there?
No. Actually, that's a good question. I don't know if there is a soundtrack, but if there was, it's just there is better. There is better.
That is true.
That's all
You
I'm gonna
know
say.
who does ambient music correctly?
Who does ambient music correctly?
Minecraft.
Well,
Oh
okay.
yeah. C4
Have you seen that
C48. I forgot
they
his
have a
name.
lo-fi channel as well for Minecraft only, like for lo-fi sounds.
Interesting. Anyway.
Moving on.
Damn it.
Back to
Damn it.
Viewfinder.
All right. So we're talking. Let's go into the gameplay of this game. It's a puzzle game. I think we all know about that. The best puzzle game comparison I can give in regards to the formatting, in regards to how we go from one puzzle to the next, is Portal, the first Portal.
Yeah.
Every puzzle is a isolated room. You cannot go back. You cannot go forward until you solve this puzzle. And everything you need to solve the puzzle is in this contained area. And you move from room to room to and using this one mechanic to solve everything. So if
Yeah.
you like Portal, you want more Portal, I recommend playing the game. Once you get
This
to
is the
chapter
secret
1
Portal 3 sequel that we've been waiting.
Yes.
That we
yes.
never got. So trying to play Viewfinder instead.
There you go.
So yeah. First off, before we go into the actual puzzles themselves and the chapters that this game is dissected into, let's talk about the game feel. How it feels in your hand, in controller or mouse and keyboard. Uh, whether the buttons were right, whether the inputs felt right, whether you felt like shafted at points where you're like, I no, that's not what I wanted. When you click things, anyone feel anything like that? Because it's
And sorry, go first.
I feel like the the inputs of the game were fine. Like I felt like when I wanted to do something, I wasn't interrupted. I felt like I was just going from step to step. Uh, but one thing that was annoying was how long it took to shift between. Okay, I want to pick up this picture to place it down, and then I have to move to the camera. And the animation of lifting up the picture and then placing it took a while. I don't know how you'd solve that without adding more buttons to the game, but it did sort of slow down a bit of the game.
Do
for
you
me.
mean like switching between like the photos and the cameras, or like placing the thing?
Both.
Okay, I understand what you mean. I also kind of felt it when I had like, I think I mostly felt it on that last level where you have like multiple photos and sometimes you need the camera,
hmm
and you need to kind of place things fast.
Yeah. Felt it probably the most there, but in general, I like puzzle games. I like sinking myself into it. So whenever the game pulled me out because it was like, oh, what button am I supposed to hit again?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Uh,
I mean, for me also, that's probably the only thing that kind of stuck out. Like all the other controls are fine. I'm gonna add something here that I didn't mention to anyone else while I was playing this game. But I kind of skipped the tutorial.
How
You
do
can
you?
skip the
There's a tutorial.
Tutorial isn't like they show you like how, the standard thing in video games where they're like, press this button to do this. You know, like go inside that little area where it tells you to like jump over like a little carpet or something.
Uh-huh.
So instead, what I did is there's a chair.
What?
So maybe Akshan skipped it
Go
too.
on.
Go
So what I did is there's a chair where you spawn, right? I climbed on top of the chair, went on top of the wall, and went down
Ah,
and basically skipped the tutorial.
Was
but
there
why
a
though?
reason? Like, why?
I was just exploring when I first got into it.
No, I mean I can get that. It's not like he
And
intentionally was like.
yeah, and so then
Pretty-
what happened is like when I did the initial rewind is only when I found out, oh, there's a tutorial section. I
Very
ain't going
nice.
through this shit.
I don't think I skipped the tutorial. I just don't remember the tutorial. But I did do what you did and jump off the side of the map because I want to see how you die. And that's when I was like, oh, you can rewind.
Yeah. No, but like tutorial, no, not tutorial, but like when you start the game,
The first area.
the first area, right? Like it
Okay.
makes you go through like a small, I wouldn't say a house, but like it makes you go through like an inner area before you reach that first outer part.
Yeah. Before you go
It's
on
like a
to the
hidden
yeah.
tutorial.
Yeah, so it's not like tutorial, it's just like showing you like, this is how you move, this is how you look, and then like the only tutorial-ish part is that like there's like an object on the ground which you can't go on top of. So they are like, press jump to go.
Maybe you should do this too. Okay.
Yeah, so like I wouldn't really call it a tutorial, but it's like, it's like a standard thing where it's like,
They show you the buttons.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So I skipped that basically the first time.
Well,
mean,
we learn something new every day.
I
Speedrun
think
is
that
track,
says a lot
Ashan
about.
has
I
found it.
guess we're gonna talk about it later, but I think that says a lot about how to play the game because I've noticed like there's probably an optimal way to solve every puzzle, but I don't think it's you don't have to do that way if you don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
So I think again that just says more about the game than
You have free will
So
to do
the
whatever you want.
solutions for the game, the solutions for the game are they may have an obvious or very specific way you solve them, but it's open enough that you can freeform solve problems in ways that you wanna, and you feel like, oh, I solved that. It
Yeah.
was I did the thing the game wanted me to. It was like, oh, I found the solution. And that's cool. Portal has that in spades. Have you seen the freaking weird ass solutions people have done for a 2006 game?
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned rewinding. I like the rewinding mechanic because it for this kind of game where you can mess up really badly. It's very nice to not need to restart the whole level or go to a checkpoint or whatever or have save files. You just okay, I rewind that one mistake because the game doesn't. It's too penalizing if you have to do too much.
especially if you
Uh,
accidentally cut a teleporter or something.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think like maybe that's. Oh no, no. Forget what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that like that sort of
I've already forgotten.
thing doesn't exist in Portal. I was like thinking like why, at least to me, like Portal was like a better version of this, and it does it better without having the need to do rewinding. And I was trying to think why. But then I remember there are like some levels where like you might need to hard
You need to
reset by
have.
dying.
Yep.
Yeah. In Portal, either you have to get back like because objects in Portal that are needed for puzzles they respawn,
Yeah,
or you die,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's how you.
It's
yeah.
very rare for you to rewind in Portal compared to this.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I guess
Yeah.
the rewind mechanic in this makes.
It's
Yeah,
better
yeah.
than having saying
Mhm.
like, "Oh, you messed up. Time to do it all over again."
Yeah, it allows you to try things. It allows you to be like, oh, let me try this. That's not gonna be that bad. Let me
Also,
just rewind it.
the rewind function gives you additional functionality for the game, so you can get to places that you couldn't get to before. You if you're trying to do the achievements, you'll understand what I mean, because you need to rewind back to a certain part of
Oh
the
yeah,
Yeah.
map.
you might spend the photograph trying to get an object, and
Yes.
then you have to rewind.
So that is an
Yeah,
additional
yeah.
functionality. Then rather than being just to reset yourself back to where you were in from ground zero.
But here's the thing, right? I mean, I'm just gonna get into that just a little bit, but I did notice that like when you are trying to reach some of those places that you spoke of, the game in itself allows you to like. I feel like they've made it in a way where they allow you to also try to get back by yourself without using the rewind.
For okay, just to touch on that, not really, not everything. Like the one that you and me were, or and even Akshan was on that day.
Mm.
Remember, like that kind of thing. You can't go
No,
back.
no, like I feel like that's the case because like the camera roll, right? Like that allows you to take more photographs. Most often I see those in like those achievement areas where like
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
there's like one or two, which means that like okay, there is a way to get back for people that
it
want
might be a
to.
speedrunner. Might be like convenience for speedrunners who also want to get 100%.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe there is a thing.
maybe we don't know. We just never tried it. I
Yeah,
guess.
anytime I saw those film rolls, I'm like, why? And I just rewind.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like rewind is the easier option, but I think there is a way to get back that
Give you an
people
option.
that probably people
Yeah.
don't really think of.
Yeah. Another reason I like the rewind mechanic is that some of the solutions need you to think outside the box, and the fact that you can take risks and the game encourages you to take risks allows you to find those out of the box solutions a little bit faster than if you were worried about messing up.
Yeah.
So it's overall, I think the rewind mechanic is good game design
But
for
it
this game.
also, but the game design in itself, like, makes you feel like. I feel like there's like two sides to it, where it's like the rewind mechanic makes you feel like you're not afraid to mess up, but it also like the limits you have with the photo, like the number of photographs you can take, make you feel like each photograph you take needs to be like, like you need to make proper use of it. I feel like it has this sort of like weird duality to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. There was something I was gonna say, and now I've forgotten it. Lanta.
What?
That's it. You have nothing to say.
I mean, I didn't have anything to add to that.
All right, so forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, let's go to chapter one. Chapter one of this game.
Wait. I want to talk about one more thing.
All right.
When we got into the game, like one of the main mechanics is the whole powering the teleporter thing, right? Am I the
You
only
made
one?
the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that thought that the whole battery thing was a little weird?
Yes.
Why weird?
Because like,
What was weird about it?
it looks like a normal
Okay,
battery.
let me clarify. To anyone who's not played this game, there's points where you need batteries to power stuff, and you can take a picture of the battery, take a picture of a battery, and use the battery within the picture to power the thing. And so that's what he's talking about right now.
Yeah. No, like when I first saw the battery, right, it looks like a normal battery in the sense where it's like,
A
it has the
double A
plus and
battery.
minus,
Uh,
that whole
Yeah.
thing, right? But then I look at it and it's like you just place it on this thing and it all of a sudden charges it. And I'm like, it kind of hurts my brain.
I have a
Surprised.
question for you,
Like the
Sean.
That's
tiniest
just a
bit of it,
you thing, my friend.
like the tiniest bit of it can just only be touching the that area and it all of a sudden charges. I'm like, is this a creative decision? Or is it like a
I have a
requirement to
question for
be
you,
a?
Sad.
Huh?
I think it's
I have-
two things. I mean, I don't go ahead.
The fact that that annoys you, not the fact that you're taking a photograph of a battery, it doesn't annoy you.
The fact that they're putting just
Okay.
paper
Here's the thing,
and it's
right?
like, okay, yes,
Here's
this
the
is
thing.
charged.
You're anyway in like a. Do I mention the fact
Uh-huh.
that you're in something?
Okay.
Well, if you were interested in the game, leave and go play it. I don't know. If you're interested in the story, uh, then go play it. I guess because we're probably just gonna talk about the story because the story is not the reason you play the game.
It's the
If
puzzles.
it
I
is,
was I was gonna
for
say
you.
that, yeah.
So, spoiler alert, we're gonna talk about
Mm.
like not biggest story reveal, but like the
But if you
basic
don't
ones
want to
of the
be
game.
spoiled, it's better you
Yeah,
don't hear
go
this.
go eat a pie.
But like,
What he
Go
said.
play the game, finish it, and then come back.
yeah,
And then listen.
Yes.
Uh,
So, for all of you spoilers, the game takes place within a simulation of something from the past. And so your character is going through the simulation to find something.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So like, because it is a simulation, the whole taking photos part, like, I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? It's happening virtually, digitally somewhere. So like, okay, fine, makes sense. I mean, I was still this thing by the battery bit because I was like, okay, this is some sort of new technology. I mean, teleporters are there, granted, but I was just like wondering what the decision behind having it just be like a flat area where batteries land on
While it's
either
charging.
this thing.
It's
I was thinking whether
I,
it's because of the way the level is designed, where like there are some things where like you need the batteries to like slide off.
Yeah.
Things where
That-
like you can't have it
that's
fitted into like a slot. Maybe
Yes,
I was
yes.
thinking maybe that's the creative decision behind it, but like it was just a small little
Nitpick.
when
I
like
think it is that it's a game design thing, but also I think within the world of the game, the levels are designed by these artists anyway. They aren't really they are more doing. They made this the entire world. They made it for fun. I don't think they were too concerned about
yeah.
how the
Functionality.
battery.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I was also gonna mention since you brought up the whole simulation thing. I I figured that out before the actual reveal of it in the story. I think I told Anuk and Akshan, right? Because there was a sticky note in one of the levels that said code better tea leaves. And I was like,
Yeah, you know.
what? It's like, is this a simulation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the fact that you were on floating islands didn't give it away, reading that probably giving it away.
Thank you.
I just presumed we were in a fantasy world, so I was like, what are we? I thought we were just in floating islands. I didn't read any of those notes.
I only read some of
but
them.
alright.
Towards the end, I stopped reading them. I gave up.
Oh, I think I remember what I wanted to say earlier. Why can you sit on chairs?
Ah,
The
yes.
Why
point of
can
the
you sit or why can't you sit?
Why can you?
Why can you? What's the point of those chair sitting mechanics? I don't understand.
I feel
Oh, I know why. I think I
You
might
can't
know why.
drink the tea.
No, I mean that. Okay, but I mean more. It's more towards being. How do you explain? You know, like some people like to just have a game. Okay, not have a
vibe.
game. Like you know how you
Yeah,
play.
it's
in the game.
it's to avoid the inevitable Twitter message of why are there chairs you can't sit on. It's kind
Is
of like
that
that.
it?
Oh,
I don't
is
think
it?
I don't.
No. Okay, not. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm just saying like it's kind of like that. It's to just add a little bit more of like a hey, there's a chair you can sit
Or
in.
Such a-
Delanta. Or maybe it's so that you can sit down and enjoy the view.
You know what, Sashan? Smartest thing you've said this podcast.
Thank you.
Ever.
Wow.
Shut up.
Wow. Wow.
This podcast. I'll be nice to you. This podcast. This podcast.
Oh god. All right. Well, we'll get back to chair sitting in a moment.
Maybe that's why it's finding views. Viewfinder.
Oh, we can be topical now. I can make a joke about the Billie Eilish song and sitting down. You know what I'm talking about. if you've heard the song.
Let's not. Let's move on.
All right. So the first chapter of the game, you do not learn how to take pictures yet, or you don't have a camera to take pictures with yet. You find photos in the world and you use those photos to place them down and solve the puzzles those ways. For the first chapter, it introduces the mechanic quite well, quite decently. I will say chapters 1 and 2, which chapter 2 you stand in the right place and you unlock a area. Chapter 1 and 2 were really slow, even though they were both the tutorial levels for chapter 3 and 4, which are the meat of the game, considering that they have like double the levels of chapter 1 and 2. And I was confused as to why chapter 1 and chapter 2 were not just one shorter chapter. It chapter 1 and 2 felt like Portal before you get the second Portal.
I feel like that decision was because there might have been like some. I feel like chapter 1 took the time to sort of uh, get the player used to what like the kind of the not the main mechanic, but like what the concept of the game is about, like perception and placing photos and stuff like that. And like the second part of the game kind of got the player used to the whole mechanics, like the levers and like that there are like external things that you need to interact with in order to complete a level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the buttons and
Yeah,
stuff.
like the
And
the whole
batteries.
sound thing and the batteries and like the switches and the timers and all, like those elements also come in. More of it's revealed in like chapter 3 and beyond, but like I feel like they introduce it to you in chapter 2 to sort of like be like, okay, there's this and there's this.
I think, yeah, I understand that.
Yes,
However, I do feel like they
yeah,
should
it
have
should have been
shortened it.
shorter.
Should have been
Could
much
have been.
shorter.
Could have been.
It's
Yeah.
Because I was ready to just rush through this game after finishing chapter 2, because I was like, I'm
essentially the
so
developers
bored.
went, here's a pen, here's an apple pen.
Well, thing is, what the good lord, that's like a 10-year-old meme. That meme's over 10 years old, I think. Okay.
Okay.
The kids
Just,
are not
this
going
is
to
not.
understand that.
Sorry, skibbity toilet.
Stop.
Even
Stop, please.
BBL's busy.
Stop it.
You see Anuk,
Focus on the game.
Anuk's in a toilet. You think that's lava, but
What?
Wow.
What? Why are you ignoring me? in this?
Anyway, continuing on.
So chapter 1 and 2, I feel like could be shorter. That's my opinion of it.
I do
it-
agree that they did feel like
a
they
slug.
dragged on a bit
Yeah,
compared
it
to
felt like
the rest of the game.
it felt like chapter 1 was you were given a pen. Chapter 2, you were given a paper, and then chapter 3, you were given a thesis to do.
I like my
Yes,
analogy better, but all right.
I feel like that is, and I feel like that's part of the game to make you explore the world and feel escaped in the world rather than just skip do puzzle and just skip through the world. Like to
Well, they had the opposite effect on me because I just wanted to skip through the world after doing those chapters because they were really slow. I was concerned that there wasn't even going to be a camera in the game, and that I just misremembered the trailer, and then we got to chapter 3. I was like, oh my god.
But the
Actually, you know what? Maybe they could have actually given the camera a little. I mean, I personally don't mind it, but I think it would have been nicer if they got the camera a little earlier than they
but
did actually.
Akshan,
show
I
it.
will say that like maybe I think it had the opposite effect on me.
You didn't
Okay.
like the camera?
No, not that.
Mm.
I felt like the first two chapters, I thought it was setting the pace for what the rest of the game was gonna be like. When I reached chapter 3, and I think especially in chapter 4,
Okay.
it felt really dragged. Like, why were there so many levels? Like, I was used to I was used to like four levels, and then all of a sudden there's like six, and then the next one there's
There's
like
like 6
10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're both having the same problem, just on the different coin. The game sets you up with the first 2 chapters, and then the third and fourth chapter feel like so much more in terms of difficulty and in terms of the amount that you have to do compared to 1 and 2, which is why I think that they should have shrunk 1 and 2 down to 1 chapter. Maybe it's
Your
because they want to
one world to go through, yeah.
yes, one world to go through. Like, did the standing besides chapter 2, did the standing in the right place to unlock a photo thing happen again after chapter 2?
Yeah, it happened a couple of times.
What do you mean standing in the right place? You mean
Like
where you have to line up?
aligning different like parts of a picture in order to like make it.
That did that not happen a lot of times after that?
I think it happened less times than
Less times than when he was
Mm.
first introduced. But
yeah.
but
Like,
it
because
did
you're
come
different.
up,
It's a
right?
different
Like
mechanic, right? You don't need that
yeah,
mechanic anymore.
you don't need it as
Yeah,
much. Like
You only need that mechanic towards the end because they combine everything together.
yeah, because it felt like a weird downgrade because at like the fact that you could place your picture wherever you wanted was a really freeing cool thing, and then suddenly the next chapter was okay, now stand and make this picture that we've pre-placed appear. I felt like they should have swapped them around and done the opposite just to have that building level of I'm breaking the world. But anyway, these are tiny things, just by the way.
Just a
They're
small
not that
take on
bad
that. Sorry.
in my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
Maybe I don't remember how it was, what how the sequence was, but wasn't that the second chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's what
is.
I mean. So they should have
That is.
swapped it around.
But then no. Why I say that is because if that's where you get the camera, right?
No, chapter
Or you
3
get
is
it.
where you get the
You get in
Oh,
chapter
so
chapter 3.
okay,
You get in
so
chapter
that
3.
is they're setting you up to learn to place items in a certain order. Like teaching you how to do things in a certain way or placements.
But then you're anyway
They
given
do that
that.
in chapter 1.
Yeah, you're given that by being able to place photos by like picking them up, right? The only difference once you get the camera is like you need to think for yourself what photo you're gonna take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot less. There's a lot less. The photo is around after chapter 2, right?
Yeah,
Like it's more camera. You need to find the pictures, and
yeah. What Akshan means, I guess, is
you
that
need
like the whole it, it the that mechanic of like having to align the photo and use it like appears a lot less, and then like it's a lot like completely contrasts like the whole thing from chapter one.
Yeah, it's also a less interesting mechanic than placing a picture, even the ones you find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, that's what confuses me. Like the pacing of the first two chapters is weird to me.
I'm wondering whether that has to do with what the world like, because the chapters are based on like the so-called worlds of these the
It's based
four
on the
people,
creator.
yeah, the
Right.
four creators, right? So maybe there is a thing when it comes to that. I don't know. Like I never listened to like the background story enough to understand, but there I did realize that there is some sort of correlation. So maybe
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
something there.
yeah. I like if there is a reason, it's in the story. It's in the way they've paced the story and like
Yeah.
what makes sense about all of this. But in regards to game pacing, I feel like first two chapters, uh, poopity scoop.
Yeah.
All right.
But you
Any
can
other thoughts
get
on the
but you
first
can
two
get
chapters?
through them fairly easy and fairly fast enough to like get to like the main meat of things. So
Yes, yes. If you're not looking for rubber duckies,
yeah.
but we'll get to that in
If
a
you're
bit.
not,
Or
yeah, if you're not
magnets.
into collectible stuff, yeah.
All magnets. Screw those magnets. Chapter 3. Let's go into what the game is advertised to be, and but also like the meat of the game. It's when you get two portals in Portal 2. It's when you unlock the camera.
Mm.
Camera, take a picture, and whatever picture you take, you're able to place the objects of that picture in the real world in front of you. And you can manipulate your environment, and you do that to solve the puzzles. Uh, Chapter 3, so many chapters compared to chapter freaking 2.
Yeah.
So
It's
many
hilarious.
levels, you mean?
So many levels. Sorry. Yes. Um, yeah. When I got to chapter 3, I started to really like the game. I also was not listening to the story that much.
I think the story kind of like
Can
dipped off at
we
that point.
can we touch on the story a little bit, because I do have something to say as well about that.
All right.
Like,
So at this point in the story, you meet a cat, and this cat is named Kate, I believe. Right?
I can't remember.
that's how it's
K-A-I-T.
spelled. That's how it's spelled. But is that how it's pronounced? I don't know.
I
Yeah, that's
think
how
it is.
they
I think it
pronounce their
is.
name. That's how
Kate.
he
Okay.
pronounces his name. Kate.
All right.
Centralized artificial intelligence
Yeah. Okay.
tabby.
Kate. Yeah.
Very
Yes.
original.
I think he's
But
supposed to
anyway,
be a play on the Cheshire, but
He is.
he is,
He is,
especially
yeah.
by the
I
end
mean, you can see
when
it the way.
the rest of his body disappears and his eyes remain.
yeah.
Yes. But yes, you wanted to touch on the story at this point, Lanta?
No, as in, like, can we talk about the story? Because I have something I want to say.
Uh,
We're gonna
when we get to
cover it
chapter 4.
more.
If anyone remembers, yeah.
What do you mean?
Yes, I mean I remember the story. I did play it
Okay.
again. I did play it 2 times.
I thought we are
Oh,
gonna
wow.
touch on this like the story a bit later.
All right. Okay.
We'll eat the story a bit later. Yes.
Yeah.
But mechanics wise, we're talking about the camera mechanics and what you can do with those camera mechanics. um, first, uh, first mechanic like as soon as you get the camera, you want to do some weird shit. Can I just ask, what's the weirdest thing that you decided to do with the camera? Mine is making as many batteries as I possibly could.
I didn't really do
Mine was
anything.
I also didn't do anything weird because
like a matrix kind of. I try to do it in a way that you can like. How do you explain? You know, you're entering from one place. No, how do you explain this? So you put multiple pictures in front of each other. So like you're going through a maze, but you're never ending. It's like a never ending picture almost.
It's like going through the same portal in
Yep, almost something like that. Like you're going through going through pictures
like going
one
through
by
it
one,
infinitely.
almost infinitely.
Mm. Interesting.
Interesting. Almost infinite.
Because you have to
Um,
place pictures, right? There's a limit amount of pictures you can take.
Yes.
I wasn't here. Here's the thing. The weirdest thing I did was actually something other than that didn't involve the camera. I tried to I tried to get to places like underneath the map,
Oh yeah, that would work.
and I succeeded in doing that in a lot of levels, and I don't know why. When clearly that wasn't the answer. But like I jumped off levels a lot trying to like get underneath the island or whatever.
Hmm.
Like I was straight
Again,
jumping and stuff.
it's the openness, right, of like being
Mm.
able to place it down wherever. It's so that like you don't have to do it. Like I personally didn't do it. Like my thing was just, let's get through it, right?
Yeah.
But it's so open to the point where like if you wanted to, just for the heck of it, you could, and you don't even lose out anything doing that, right? You
Yeah.
just like drop down to the bottom, put a picture, funny, and then just rewind and come back up.
Move on.
So there you go.
Yes. Uh, I remember I told Seshan about the cool way to solve one of the puzzles.
Hmm.
What's the cool way to solve
where,
the
you,
puzzle?
where you fall off the edge of the map and you take a picture of something, and then you look down and you place that picture, and that's how you solve the puzzle.
Oh, you mean that one? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yours and that.
What did you
That's
think
the cool
about the
way to solve
no
it.
fall damage?
It's a simulation. I was fine with it.
Yeah. What he
No
said.
fall
It
damage.
felt it
I
felt
mean,
like
yeah.
Portal already. It felt like Portal
Mm.
already, so I was just not
But there's
straight
no
into
there's
match.
no health system in it anyway, so
No. Yeah.
No, there
Yeah.
isn't, but like they
it
make
wouldn't.
significant note of it. Like there's a
Oh,
moment
you don't
in
take
the
fall damage.
yeah, like I can't remember who says it, but someone's just like, oh, there's no fall damage.
Oh my!
Oh, if it's during the beginning. I remember it's
When
just
the
like
bridge collapses.
I think it's more haha. The bridge you thought you could cross simply, it's fallen.
No, okay.
Yeah, I think it's more that rather than you could have died. You
Oh,
could have
I,
died
I think
there.
I, I think she, yeah, I think she said, "Good thing you don't get hurt." Yeah, haha.
Yeah, I think it's more like just making fun of the fact that you fell on something you thought that you
Would
could just
kill
walk
you, yeah,
across.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh, but yes, this is the part of the game where the puzzle design is really ramps up. Every single puzzle, it doesn't feel like there's too much repetition from each puzzle to puzzle. It feels like every single one is very much closer to Portal's pacing, where every single one you you have to think, you have to sort of look at your surroundings and try and try and solve it. There isn't an easy solution to things. There isn't like, okay, that should go there. Okay, I see how to do it. You have to think outside of the box every time you go into the place.
Yeah.
For the most part, I'm sure there are exceptions, like if you pull them. Uh, yeah, chapter 3, chapter 4 as well, which we'll get into. Which I mean, we can even mention chapter 4. Chapter 4, what was the difference? That some things don't get replaced when you place a photo, or you can't take a picture of some things.
I think
That was the difference.
the biggest was chapter 3 where they introduced the whole like the bluish purple thing that doesn't take a photo, or was that chapter 4? I also can't
That was
remember.
That's
chapter
chapter 4. That's what I'm
4. That
talking
was
about.
chapter
Yeah,
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the gimmick of chapter 4.
Bluish purple thing. Is you mean the inverse image?
It's where
Yeah,
No,
you
the
can't, like, not
you
everything
can't
is
take a picture
solid.
of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, oh,
I
okay.
think that plus the stationary cameras are introduced in chapter yeah,
Oh
like
yes,
where like you take a photo of something, but like it's aimed at a particular thing.
yes. It's restricting you in that way,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can take
What are
pictures
the
of
other
those things.
mechanics that they introduced? They introduced
The photocopier was a while ago.
the
It's a
photocopier
photocopier.
was a while ago. Yeah.
You can just copy pictures. Um,
Mm,
chapter 5 has more. It's more symbolic than it is more a depth-filled puzzle mechanic. It's more like a symbolic and story-based mechanic, which we'll get into later. But I think that's really it for chapter 4. There's one puzzle. There was an optional puzzle with a watermelon.
I
What?
don't think
That
What?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I did any of the optional challenges.
Oh, you mean the watermelon? I remember
the
now.
watermelon puzzle.
I
You
remember. I
didn't do the
remember.
optional. There's a point where you get a watermelon, and there's a scale instead of a battery head.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a scale, and you have to. The watermelon doesn't weigh enough, but you have to place the watermelon in a place where the picture that is taken will where the watermelon will roll away before you can take the picture, basically.
Mm,
So you have to chop the watermelon in half by taking a picture of half of it,
yeah.
and then it can fall flat on the flat side so that it doesn't roll away. That was an interesting way to solve that puzzle.
Yeah, it took me a few turns to try to understand how to get that done. I was trying to
Yeah, that
like
was
wedge it somewhere that it wouldn't fall.
No, it's not possible.
yeah. Things like the watermelon puzzle appear a few times when you pick up photos that aren't photographs. For example, you can pick up a painting or a child's drawing,
Mm,
and you enter into the child's drawing, and the sound effects of you walking and jumping change. You can enter into a video game, and it's sound effects,
yeah.
pixel sound effects. Sometimes there are mechanics in there, like the double jump or the extra jump
Yeah.
from one of the video game pictures. That is only there for that level. Those are more gimmicks and more fun little things that you can find along the way. They don't really affect the puzzle itself. Yeah. Any how do y'all feel about the puzzles in general? Just the difficulty, the pacing, the did y'all enjoy yourselves, or was it more
Mm,
aggravating?
I don't. I think the ramp up was pretty good.
I only got
Started off.
stuck on one.
There will,
I got stuck. Yeah, but again, I think like the way that it progressively got more challenging as
Mm,
opposed to up and down.
yeah.
Like it was good. It was good. It
Yeah,
was good.
yeah.
Compared to the previous puzzle game, which was what the last
Fall on.
campfire,
the
right?
last campfire.
Right. That episode is up. You can watch it on YouTube,
Yeah,
Spotify, all
yeah.
that jazz.
Plug it.
But when I compared to that, right, like that was a very
Easy.
easy
Very
puzzle
easy.
game, whereas this one like had a good difficulty spike and
Yes.
somewhat consistent. So there you go.
It had a better finale than
It had
that
a oh my that finale.
last campfire as well. It had a more difficult finale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. It's a very good ramp up. And you can take your time with it. It doesn't feel like you have to rush through it. It's very
Yeah.
calm. Even the
Except for the
story is
last one.
very calm,
Except the last
except
one.
for the last puzzle. Except for the last puzzle, which is like get ready. Um, yeah, I quite liked it. As someone who likes puzzles, who likes Portal 2, it's one of my favorite games. Uh, I quite like chapter 3 and 4 especially. Yeah,
Yep.
and then any other thoughts on chapter 3 and 4 before I jump to 5?
I don't think of like any other things that they sort of introduced.
While you're thinking
Very
about it, do
few
y'all remember?
mechanics.
Oh no, go
No.
ahead.
No, there are very few mechanics that are very notable. So the examples are the still camera and the normal camera, and then the battery is like the main one of the main mechanics, right? Compared to
Oh, I
sound
know
and
one.
everything.
I know a
Sorry, go.
mechanic. Taking a
Which
picture
one?
of yourself.
But that was in chapter
Oh,
5, right?
That's in chapter 5.
yeah.
In 5.
I think one
Yeah.
of like a mechanic that's sort of like I don't know, would you call it a mechanic? The whole rotating photos bit.
But that is a normal. That is a normal mechanic of the photo, right? Not like
No,
a.
I feel like they gave like significant like once the camera was introduced and they allow you to like they taught you to rotate photos. There were like a couple of levels where like teleporters were placed on sideways or like upside down and all. And like basically it got you to think about how you can take that photo and then like rotate it and make it
Yeah.
work towards it. It becomes like an innate part of taking photos later on, but like I think it's a mechanic that they introduce later on compared to like when you first receive the camera.
I suppose. I suppose. Although you do have to take a picture of a platform and rotate that platform
Yeah.
pretty early on in chapter 3, especially.
I think they get to think more of it in later chapters, though. Like the actual level design itself requires you to learn to rotate photos and think about things not in that, that,
Linear terms.
yeah, like that not everything is like in this like one axis basically. That you do basically,
You're think 3-dimensional instead of 1-dimensional.
yeah. Basically.
Was there a 4th dimension that you need to think of? No, right? Mostly 3-dimensional.
Fourth dimensional was when the filter thing came in, I would say. Right? Like when there was like a puzzle where like you had to like it was based off like the filters. Oh, the mechanic of like the illusion thing. Remember you were laughing at me?
Oh, the illusion thing. There's one
Oh,
chapter. There's one chapter. Not even chapter. There's one level in the game, maybe two, where you don't have a camera and it's just illusion puzzles. And it's just like you walk into a door. No, there's no door here.
Get wrecked.
Oh, when did? Sorry, I just remembered that. When did they do those puzzles? That
Chapter
was chapter
3 or
four,
4.
Chapter 4. I think the
3 or
chapter
4.
4.
Yeah.
It's probably 4 because no wait.
Yeah, it's
No,
4
it was
because
I
it's
think
a
it's
night
3.
time.
I
It's a
think
night
it's the
time.
end of 3.
No,
It's
it's
the end of
in
3.
option side. It's the end
Because-
of 3 because we were looking for the mahjong tiles when y'all were.
Yeah.
Right.
And because it was made by the guy who did like the
The
mechanics
engineer.
of stuff, the engineer,
The-
and he
yeah.
liked that sort of stuff, like they were saying in the story.
Yes.
Yeah. That's where it was. It was interesting. That's where I got stuck the most because I was just at that part because it was such a jarring, different puzzle. I'm not going to reveal what the solutions were. Get wrecked, audience, if you want to figure that out.
Or just look it up somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, that's something I should ask. Any of y'all looked it up? looked up
I looked up.
solutions?
No, I looked up something.
I looked up
I
one.
I won't be able to tell you which one, but I looked up something.
I know which one I looked up.
Okay.
It was one of the ones where basically the teleporter and the switch was hidden behind the indestructible wall, and like you could only
Yeah.
see it like through these like iron bars. And I was like trying to think of like how do I take a photo of everything, and then I didn't think to like go outside and then just take a photo of the wall, and I didn't think that the wall would disappear because you can't capture the wall. And I was like, I shall remember this for next time.
Okay, I remember.
Okay.
I remember that level.
That's the only one I got
Okay.
stuck on and that I like needed to like look something up.
You need to look something up. All right. Well, as I said last time, the integrity of the game playlist has been shattered.
Hey,
So
hey man, it's an innate part
Hey
of
man,
games.
we need to play the game. We need to complete the games.
Time is an
shattered, I
essence.
tell you. Chapter 5. Let's go on to chapter 5, where the game, for story reasons and for gameplay reasons, starts to break. And so the mechanic of taking pictures and placing them down is replaced by taking pictures and literally removing that element of the world from view before you place it again. And yeah, it destroying the reality of the game, as well as taking pictures of yourself, which you can use to get to places. Interesting mechanic, interesting change. Especially actually, I think taking a picture of yourself might be chapter 4, but I'm like the end of chapter 4.
What?
But I might be wrong. Taking pictures of yourself.
That's towards the end, yeah.
I also can't remember. It's either the end of chapter 4 or like the start of chapter 5. But I feel
Chapter
like
I
N,
think
chapter
I feel
4
like
made
chapter
two
5
N.
would have been too short to introduce it.
They only introduce it when you
Yeah,
hit the
it's-
iron bars.
I
which is
think it's
chapter 4.
chapter 4 because you had to take a picture of that picture taking thingy to place it somewhere else to take a picture of yourself.
I don't
No,
know.
maybe. Yeah.
Either way, chapter 5, take a picture of yourself. That was cool to find. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a timer. What if I took a picture of myself? Oh, what happens if I place it down? Oh my god, I
I teleport.
And then you see yourself and you go, oh.
oh,
But that
I can
that
teleport.
that mechanic doesn't have any consistency with like other parts of the game.
As in?
As in
You get what I mean, right? Like so for example, if you
consistency.
took a photo of a battery,
Uh-huh.
both the original battery and the copy exist at the same time. Whereas
Yeah, I was
Okay.
wondering
when you
that,
take a
but
photo of
you just never
yourself,
did.
you teleport to where the photo is. So it's like you can't exist. Like duplicates of yourself can't exist.
Yeah, I was
Maybe
thinking,
because okay.
how cool would it be if you got a split screen?
That's what I was just thinking, right? I was like, how can this work? Because like literally the mechanic is that you are placing it in front of you. So how can you just vanish and then appear where the photo is? Like so then it's
Because
like teleportation at that point. But then that's not how
be,
the camera worked up until this point.
but because you're in a simulation, that you can't take a picture of something that's a simulation rather than it being in actual in the world itself, right?
Can't take a photo of something that's in the simulation. Is that what you said?
No, no, no. You are not part of the simulation. You are just experiencing the simulation.
I don't know.
I can imagine how, like, in the world, the code would allow that to happen. But in my mind, it didn't really bother me. I do understand what you mean in regards to it being an inconsistency, but it just didn't bother me personally.
Mm.
Uh, but I get it. I get what you mean.
The
It would
only
bother me.
reason I let it kind of slide is because like the way that the photo, when you look at the photo, right, like your character, whoever, it's like it's glitched out and it's like darkened. So like I was like, okay, so clearly you're not meant to take a photo of yourself, and that it's
Yeah,
basically like it's something that shouldn't be done. So like then I was like, okay, maybe that makes sense as to why you teleport rather than you get uh, rather than you rather than a copy of you happening.
yeah. It's a cool mechanic. It kind of weird, kind of weird with the rules of the world. But the game also does break its own rules every now and then, like and but the thing is, those rules never break in a way uh, that destroy the integrity of the puzzles. For example, sometimes there are pictures where you place the picture down and it opens up into an entire new area. It opens an entire corridor that goes somewhere completely different, and
Okay.
it's like, this is not how the pictures work. But you're like,
This
yeah,
is
it's fine.
this is not what the simulation
This is not how it's
told us.
programmed.
Yeah, I
But
get it.
when that happens, I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't ruin anything for me. Uh, did y'all find the bug room? Not the bug room. The showcase room. When one of the photographs is the
Oh,
infinity spiral.
Oh, I went down there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And going down the spiral,
The
there's a little
Infinity
door.
Spiral? Where's it?
Yeah,
it's
there's
an
an infinity
extra.
It's
spiral.
like
It's an
it's a
extra.
drawing.
Yeah.
It's a drawing on a table. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you place it down, and it just goes on for infinity, and it goes bigger and bigger. And you start to hear music near the end of it, like this, like tribal drumming music. It's very weird. It's very surreal. It had nothing to do with
So I'm
anything.
just realizing there's a lot you can miss out on in this game if
Yep.
you
There's
just
a lot
like
of Easter eggs.
if you just go like point A to B,
Yeah.
you miss out a lot of like small because I feel like that's what happened to me.
I mean, if you're
If you ever
speed
see a
running, I think
waterfall, go behind it.
What?
the
If you ever
waterfall.
see a
Oh,
waterfall,
mm,
go
okay,
behind it.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. It's cool. It's cool stuff. Uh, yeah. So, and then finally at the end of chapter 5, there is a time trial. There's essentially 5 minutes to solve like 10 chambers, I believe. No, 9 chambers. Uh, and yeah, if you fail, you just go back to the beginning. But that was the final challenge of the game before you get to the ending, which has to do very much with the story that the game is trying to tell. But before we get into that, were there any bugs that any of you experienced in this game?
No, not really. All were part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't really bug out for me, I think, as far as I'm aware. I can't think though. Sitting down still doesn't make sense. It's not a bug.
The one thing happened to me.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it wasn't really a bug, but like when I launched the game, it it didn't let me continue my save file. It just auto started a new game.
Skill issue.
Jeez.
Skill issue.
Skill issue. Yeah.
I
They
literally
were like we didn't like how you started the game, so you're starting it again.
it started again and
You skipped the tutorial. You skipped the tutorial. They were like, no, you go back and play it.
I was just like, what is this? And then like I escaped the menu and like there's a second save and I'm like, okay, delete. That was that, and I think it crashed
Okay.
once on me. I can't remember.
Did it crash on me? If it did, I just forgot. But I believe that this is an indie game. It is a very small studio that made this game, so it is a bit unpolished in regards to the fact that it's a not a graphically intense game, but on my old computer, it did kind of. I had to lower stuff because it was kind of chugging at points for no reason.
It's I think performance wise, it required a bit of resource, if I remember. Because I was
It
trying to
did.
play it while downloading something, and I felt like the whole game again. This is because I was using my computer to do something else at the same time, and I thought, okay, while this is happening, I can play the game because
Basically, thought it'd be less graphically intense.
I thought I not even the graphic side. I just thought that like the game in general is less intensive, so it wouldn't require much. But it was chugging during that, so I was like, stop the download, just focus on this, and then it ran fine. So
Yeah,
it's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
when you
So
altering the
it's not a
reality would require so much computing
Yeah.
power.
speaking
Who
of,
knew?
let us jump into the story of this game, which is not the reason you play the game. You play the game for the puzzles. But let's just touch on the story. Atlanta, you're the one who had something to say. Back
No,
and
I
jump
want to
in.
say it after. I want to say it after we talk about the story because I feel
Okay.
like that's going to color the opinion a lot. So.
Okay, so the game is a simulation, and it's essentially made by these artists from the past, and then you realize you're in the far future where the world is very dystopian, very sad, Blade Runner, uh, and you're trying to find a solution to climate change. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just wondering that, and like, there's a part where you're like, where you go outside of the simulation to sort of like fix the issue, and I'm trying to remember in my head whether there's like a window you can look out of to see the few, like to see what the outside's like.
That is right. You can walk
There is.
outside.
You can?
You look
You
outside.
can.
You can't walk outside.
You
I
can't.
mean,
Look
You can
outside.
see outside because it's during the part where the simulator crashes, and they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
"Oh, can
What
you?"
what is outside? Because I don't
you
remember.
see a city. You see a city building,
It's
and
like
then you see like a dark
cyberpunk
sky.
s. Yeah.
Okay.
Buildings and smog. It's just
Yeah,
buildings and
smog. Yeah,
smog.
like brown or yellow smog.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Really contrasts with the colorful the world of Viewfinder.
I see.
Yeah, and you're trying to go in to find a solution to a global wildlife crisis or something. And you may or may not by the end. Spoiler alert for anyone who's interested in the game and wants to know the story and experience for themselves. Don't listen to me say this. You do. The game makes you think you don't, but you do. Yeah, it's a salad dressing to this game. The story, although I'm sure that the developers were pretty passionate about the subject matter, or maybe they just had strong opinions for the subject matter. Uh, yeah, yeah. I just I'm fine with the story. I just don't care for it. I just don't care for
Yeah,
the
okay, so
voice acting.
this is what I was gonna say as well. I did not care at all for the story. I like, if you asked me to remember it, I would say, like, in a couple of months you guys ask me what's the story of Viewfinder, I don't think I'll remember what it was about.
Yeah.
To be
The
honest.
story is
Like, I will always remember the game. I will always remember the gameplay because it's still pretty cool and unique in that regard compared to a lot of other ones. But the story is just I would forget it.
Yeah.
I would forget it soon. So again, that's not a bad mark against the game itself. Still a pretty unique game, unique concept. Just the story is nothing much.
For me,
Here's
I'm
the
the opposite,
yeah,
but I'll
okay.
let you
You're
No,
the
no.
opposite? Oh,
Uh,
I'm
okay.
the opposite. I
Ooh,
kind
okay,
of remember
interesting.
most, not ex- not hun- not 100% of it, obviously, but like maybe 80+% of it,
were
maybe.
you paying
Like
attention to it?
I was like, I mean, not like the notes and stuff, but like whatever they were saying and how the reality and simulation worked and everything. I was like interested in it. That's how
Hmm.
I felt at least.
okay.
I mean, props.
When
If you,
when you said Akshan that like the you think that there's like the whole climate thing, right? You think that maybe the developers were trying to say something about that through the game.
Or they were very idealistic, I suppose. They were just
I don't know,
having an
like,
idea.
but like if there was a message to be said, it wasn't heard.
It wasn't very. It was more. It's more like it's not
Subtly,
Wally. Wally's better.
I don't know.
Yeah,
mm,
it's yeah yeah. It's a simple dystopian reality story. I don't know if you can do a simple dystopian reality story.
but I mean, there's another way to look at it, right? It's like at least they didn't sacrifice
The
the
gameplay for it.
gameplay for a story point of view.
I don't know.
Like,
Maybe you could have done something about that. Like there are games that can do both.
there are, but
Portal,
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 yeah,
yeah,
Portal.
yeah, there
Portal
are,
too.
but again,
indeed.
it's, I think, still pretty. I think for me, I think the direction they took was, I was happy with it.
I think it was the voice acting and the dialogue is not the best I've ever heard or
Yeah.
seen. It's like
Yeah.
GLaDOS is very entertaining. Wheatley
Mm,
is very
yeah.
entertaining. Even if you don't care about the story, you're entertained by them. So you're engaging with the story automatically. This Kate was very humble, very,
His
very quaint.
commentary on things also were just like very
She glazes over you.
yeah, it's very flat. It's like, oh, I'm impressed.
I'm impressed. You found
Whoa.
another solution that I didn't think of. Wow,
Ah,
congratulations. This is a difficult one.
Whoa, you solved it in 10 seconds.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
Like it's
see
just
that.
like it
I
adds
didn't see that
nothing.
coming. Eh.
Yeah,
Like
it
doesn't it almost like make you not want to listen to things he says even when they're important?
I agree. I just didn't get. You know that freaking telephone that is ringing somewhere in the world,
Oh
and
yeah.
you have to go and answer it. I just ignored it half the time.
Oh, the
Second time I
phone is
played it,
ringing. Don't care.
second time I
Where
played it,
teleport?
yeah,
Yeah.
house solve. The second time I played the game, I listened to it more just to see whether maybe there was like some big fluke that would change my mind, but there wasn't really. Nothing really compelled me about the story. Um, it's an optimistic message, a valiant effort, but it's not. Thankfully, the game itself is the reason you're going to play it, and it's a pretty good game story, despite the story.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I look like story because engineer.
You like story
Not
because
really.
of tension, yeah.
Sure, but no, it's because I don't know, it's just science aspect, I guess.
See,
Hmm.
engineer.
No, it's not. Okay, whatever. Okay, but no, it's just it's a unique taste to a puzzle rather than being science, rather than being all what's the word,
Engineer.
fantasy wise.
I see.
Hmm.
more sci-fi than fantasy.
Hmm, I guess.
It's like Portal, right? Like Portal is also sci-fi.
But then, did they not say that this simulation, right? Is it supposed to be replicating something from the past?
No,
No.
it's very abstract. It's very. I mean,
It's-
in the
it's-
game itself, the characters
What is
on
it
the
supposed to be
megaphone,
simulating then?
it's not simulating anything. It's
They're
simulating
trying
an
to,
It's
artistic vision.
artistic.
That,
Yeah.
It's basically a very interactive music.
yes, yes,
it's
made
almost
by
like an
these
escape of
artistic
reality.
scientists.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Yeah,
like
and all
it's
these
like a virtual location.
Yes, you're
Yes,
escaping
yes.
reality just to escape to a different place to solve your issues.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
like in correlation to the story, right? So you're saying that they are going through this simulation to find something that will solve.
Their crisis.
Yes.
So they are trying to make a simulated world of whatever they are going through to solve their issues in the real world. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
essentially like this simulation is their offices.
yeah,
It's heavy
And
rain
they're
all
just
over again.
I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't argue that.
What you were talking about the RE office?
Oh.
Oh, the RE office. I remember that.
This is better than the Ari, obviously.
How dare you diss RE?
RE.
Anyways,
Oh, that's his name. I thought you said RE as the two letters. But anyway, yeah, the story, uh, uh, cool that you could engage. You could engage with it.
but you don't have
Like,
to.
no, no, no. If you could, because I remember I was reading a review saying that like this person like the story and the ending of the game made them weep, and I was like, I don't understand how you have this. I'm glad you do. Like I would like to. I would like to
That's
feel that
yeah,
deeply.
that's a to each their own.
Yeah, I would like to feel that deeply, but I just don't understand how you can get there. It's interesting. Uh, but yes, I'm sorry for spoiling the game for you. But honestly, even spoiling the ending, I don't think it ruins the ending. Like if you are
No.
going to be emotionally impacted by
But
it,
for this one, yeah, personally, I would say not really.
yeah, it's not gonna give you a bunch of twists and turns, yeah. But yes,
Mm.
yeah. So that's the game. That's basically the game. There are some other things that we have to talk about. Talk about is going to be given by our achievement hunter, Seshan.
Don't know. I mean, I think Akshan and Anu both, you all both completed the achievements as well, right? 100%.
yep.
Did
Was
I?
it worth it?
Yes.
No,
Yep,
No,
that's
no,
too.
no,
no, it was
Okay.
not.
I
As
disagree.
per usual with
Really.
achievement completion, it means nothing. But
I
continue.
think there are some games that have achievements that are worth it and that show like skill or like progress in the game. This game is one of those where it's like do this thing that is
He-
somewhere.
Here's a
It's like
collectible.
yeah, it's
Do
like
you have eyes?
yeah, it's either get collectibles or do something or just like it's something that has to do with interacting with the
Do
world.
something silly. Yeah, do something
Yeah.
silly
I
that
know
you would have found anyway.
one cool achievement that was one of the only ones I guess unique ones that I did was the matching pictures one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was like, oh, cool that I actually got something for doing that. I thought I would progress, but no, here's an
Mm.
achievement.
Yeah, the main thing, like the silly ones are fine. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna look for those achievements, go ahead.
My
They're not that difficult.
recommendation though in
That's
terms
annoying.
of what's I gonna say? My recommendation to anyone who's gonna actually do the achievement hunting for this game, you can save some time by actually looking at a guide and going through the game because it doesn't really spoil how to do levels as such, unless you want to not look for collectibles. But I'd say like other things, other achievements that you can get along the way, you can just look at a guide and do. It doesn't really spoil anything. As long as
Yeah.
you're looking at it level by level. Like most achievements usually spoil something story based, but since this isn't story based and more of a puzzle game, yeah, you can just do that. Saves yourself some time because it was really annoying going back visiting each world after having completed the run once on, playing in blind, without looking at what the achievements are. That's pretty much it. They're pretty easy to get. You could probably get the game itself is what, 4 5 hours.
Yeah,
5 hours.
finished it in 4 hours doing the
Yeah, so maybe
optional puzzles as well.
yeah, so maybe like you can finish the entire game in like under 5 hours if you have the guide up with you and you're going through it. Otherwise, you might spend about an additional hour to a half an hour to an hour getting the other stuff done.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think
All
it's
right.
it's not worth revisiting these levels. At least personally.
Not really, no. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
I guess so.
Yeah. Playing it again, I just wanted to try and solve everything as fast as possible, just to see whether there was a new solution I could find.
Just a
But anyway,
just a side question. Like this is mostly meant to you, Akshan. Do you think Portal has a replayability?
if you wait a bit, yeah, you
Yeah.
forget what the puzzles were.
Do you think that same replayability applies here?
Yes. Yeah. If you're into puzzle games, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you really remember it's because it's very satisfying to solve the puzzles in Portal and in this. Uh, is very, especially if they're very elegant solutions. But yeah. I enjoyed this game, and we're about to jump into our rating. Unless we have one more thing to say, I don't think we do. Yeah. So we'll jump into our ratings. First off, let's start with the person who picked this game. Lanta, what's your rating?
Well, you see, I am definitely not looking at the ratings scan. Okay, all right. I would say my rating, by the way, the 5 ratings, just as a reminder to anyone watching or listening to the podcast, is finish it, try it, consider it, skip it, and kill it. So
I wonder
here
what
we
he's
go.
gonna say.
I'm going to actually say consider it. Purely because even though I think it's a really interesting game in terms of like its gameplay and what it does, I also don't think everyone is going to enjoy it because again, story doesn't really matter too much. Short game, very artsy. So I think overall it's probably not it's not all that, but it's definitely a game you should take a look at. And if it does look interesting to you based on the gameplay that's available online, any Steam page, whatever, I think it's worth considering. There you go. Consider it.
Who's next?
Probably you.
Okay.
Okay, me, I
No
guess.
one has anything to say. All right. Okay. Cool.
I would say skip it.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Oh.
Okay,
Is that a
hold on, hold on.
first?
I think
Yeah, my first skip
I
it.
think
I think
Akshan said skip it for
for heavy rain?
I can't remember, but I think so.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Skip it. Okay.
Only one we
Why?
haven't had is a kill it yet.
But I say skip it only for the fact that even though I like the story, but not everyone's gonna enjoy the story. So it's a personal thing. So regardless of the story aspect, there are better um, puzzle games that can emulate the same feeling, which is an example would be Portal and stuff like that. So I guess I would rather suggest you to play Portal rather than this because it has a better finish compared to this. Is my take on it.
Where you go next? Yeah. I'm in the same boat with Dilantha and Anu in a lot of these, but I will say consider it because it is a beautiful looking game. It is, I think it's a testament to like the developers of the game and like their creativity and what they had in mind. I feel like they did bring it to life, but there are some bits lacking. I would say it's a okay puzzle game. Like it's an okay puzzle game, but it doesn't have a story. I think it tried to lean more on being a puzzle game than being story led. I'm not that much of a puzzle person myself, but like it kind of took away from the enjoyment of the game for me because like the previous puzzle game we played on the last campfire, that was more story based and less puzzle based, but that was more enjoyable to me because of that. And then games like Portal that are like an equal balance between story and puzzle sort of like do this sort of genre a bit better. Which is why I mean, yeah, like it's good, but like I don't know, it feels a little unpolished.
Great ratings, guys. So, my rating is going to be on the try it side of things. I say try it because I this game was very it could have been a completed if its story was more engaging. And the first two chapters were tighter, really. But because of that, like there might be people who just won't vibe with it after the first two chapters. But I recommend trying it because if you get to chapter three, if you like Portal, probably gonna like it. It's a pretty good game. I understand the accolades. It's pretty good for someone's first game as well. So yeah, that's my rating. And that's
Yeah.
the end.
That's our only try it.
Yeah, you're the only one I think out of
You
the
surprisingly rated it a lot higher than, than I expected.
than the rest of us. I mean, Anuk skipped it.
Anuk skipped it. I'm the only one who gave a skip it before, besides Anuk. I think.
Yeah. To
Oh,
Heavy
so
Rain,
okay, so
yeah.
you answered that question. Yeah.
Yeah. On
I
Heavy
think
Rain.
I think the difference is that like Akshan enjoys puzzle games, so like he's coming from a place that like he's coming from the place of a
I
person that
don't
actually
enjoy puzzle
enjoys playing puzzle games. So like when you think about it like that from a puzzle game first perspective, you probably would recommend trying the game, but like I think the rest of us are like less of a
Newish.
we are not we're not
Not
puzzle
real
game
puzzlers.
people. Like I think me and Dilanta are more we're variety. Even Anuk is variety, right?
Wow, variety.
Right, yeah.
I'm also variety. I just also like puzzle games.
He's the variety
Although,
puzzler.
like, I think Dilanta's the only true variety game out of the four of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
man,
how many games he
play
started.
anything, everything. Just don't finish them.
Just don't finish them.
Anuk's
Just
the
Yeah.
strategist MMO FPS person. I don't know what I am. I think I'm just an FPS person.
An indie game.
I'm an FPS indie person. Yes.
Completionist.
Akshan's just indie puzzle.
Indie? No, I play other game. I play Baldur's Gate. That's also an indie game, honestly.
But yeah, I mean that's the rating. So
Yeah, that's our ratings. We have some other episodes that are coming out. You can watch the episodes we had before. One of them was on another puzzle game called The Last Campfire. Check that out. But we have videos coming out in the coming months. Next month will be Core Keeper. One after that will be Journey, 2011's Game of the Year. Sorry, Indie Game of the Year. Then we have Outer Wilds right after that. Not Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds.
Out of wide.
And that'll
Yeah, and hopefully, if you enjoyed this video, to those here on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Go check out the Spotify, what else have we got? Apple Music.
Apple Music, Amazon, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, we're there.
We're everywhere.
All at
We're
once.
everywhere.
in the New York Dublin Eye. If you're watching it there, go ahead. Thank you very much. That's our episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.